I wanted to address an email that I received from not a hairstylist, but a client. Her name is Amy, and she wrote, "Hi, Elaine. I am not a professional stylist, but I love all of your educational content on gray blending with demi-permanent color on YouTube. I would go to your salon in a heartbeat if I lived in Pennsylvania. Do you know of a colorist in New York City who understands gray blending like you do? I still might visit your salon if I am ever in the area. I have had this done on my hair in the past and loved it, but my colorist moved to another state and I've been searching for another colorist ever since. It has been 2 years, and I think most colorists don't understand gray blending. I ask for demi-permanent and I'm getting full color coverage instead of sheer, translucent color on my grays so that they look like highlights. There must be someone who understands gray blending in New York City. Do you know of a good colorist I can go to? Thanks for your help." So, Amy is not alone. There are many people throughout the country who are continuing to be frustrated with their hair color results for the simple reason that most hairstylists, upon graduating from beauty school, come out with the thought process that when there's gray, there must be permanent hair color and 20 volume developer. Apply it, set the timer, walk away, shampoo it, and their gray is covered. It's 2024, and there's so much more to effective gray coverage, so much more natural results that you can get. And my passion is in really making hairstylists understand the full power of demi-permanent color. It is a category that has catapulted my salon into so much success, myself in success behind the chair as both a colorist and an educator, because it takes away all of the things that we struggle with when using permanent color. I teach this regularly. I shout it from the rooftops. I talk about it every week on my Coffee and Colorful Conversation chat on Facebook. And I still think that not enough people really understand how to properly utilize this amazing category. This did not exist when I was in beauty school, but as soon as it was brought into the industry, I adopted it early on. My mentor, Beth Minardi, taught me how to properly use it. And now, if you were to ask me, Elaine, if you had to be stranded on a desert island, what hair color would you need to have with you to be the island hairdresser? And I always answer a tub of bleach, a developer, and a demi-permanent hair color. I could color the whole island with those three things. I would not even need permanent hair color. I could get by without it. Of course, there's going to be somebody on the island that's really, really gray and wants, more than just a blending. But I think if you live on an island, you're not really worried about what you look like too much. So that's kind of not the point. But in my salon, I find myself reaching way more often for either a liquid or cream demi color. And so many times I get the feedback, especially from my YouTube videos. Sidebar, if you do not know about my YouTube, what are you waiting for? I was just looking on there for what has been the most viewed video, and the demi video is one of the most viewed. So that's why I picked this topic today. But a lot of people don't know that I have so much education on my YouTube that is so helpful, and it's free. So head over to YouTube after you finish this podcast and subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notified, because I do also go live on YouTube every Wednesday. So I love using this product category because it does not disturb the remaining pigment contribution in the hair. Unless you use a cream alkaline demi and you formulate a lot higher than the natural level. A lot of people don't understand that a cream demi will absolutely behave very similarly to a permanent color, in that it has a lot of the same ingredients, but its intention is not to lift the hair. But if you formulate light enough, you will get a slight shift, just enough to bring out that, unwelcome remaining pigment contribution, brassiness in the background. So you have to understand how to use this category in order to be successful, but don't discount it. Don't put it to the side and say, oh, it's going to fade, it's going to wash out, it's temporary. So many people confuse demi-permanent with semi-permanent. Semi-permanent is put it on straight out of a tube or bottle, no developer. It sits on the top of the hair. It can give a little sparkle of a shimmer of something. It's almost a step above a colored shampoo. It is very temporary. As soon as you shampoo the hair again, unless it was super porous in the beginning, it will wash out. That is semi. And I often hear people describe Redken Shades EQ, Wella Color Touch, Joico Lumi Shine. They say, oh, I just threw a semi on there. Well, number one, I don't like the vocabulary of I just threw on anything. Throwing on something is when a consumer puts color on out of a box in their house. That's throwing something on. If you are a professional colorist, I want you to have much more professional terminology. I want you to talk about, an application of a glaze, not throwing on a semi. And knowing that it's not a semi, it's actually a demi. And a demi is, you want to think of it as a hybrid in between semi and permanent. You're very slightly getting in that cuticle and depositing that color. Now, if you're listening on the podcast, you won't be able to see me, but if you're watching this on YouTube, my entire hair is demi color. And if you look down underneath here, you'll see that there's still color down here at the bottom. If demi washed out the way that people think it does, this bottom of my hair would be all gray, right? Because in between color, if I don't retouch that on the ends, which I don't, then this would all be gray, and it's not. This is exactly the Shades EQ color that I put on many years ago because my hair does not grow quickly, and the regrowth to down here is a lot of time of growing out, and it's all demi. There's no permanent color on my hair. So I always use my own hair as an example when I'm teaching on stage at hair shows, and people kind of give me that constipated look with the wrinkled eyebrow, like they're confused when I say that my hair is demi and then I use it to cover my gray. And then I get my bright blonde with highlights. So highlights, when you're lightening hair, especially in foil, you have a lot more control over how much warmth you're able to get through and make go away. Using permanent color, most times you're going to be stuck in that yellow-orange place because hair color can only lift so far. And that's a whole other conversation. So really understanding every category of color that you have available to you and not just falling into that 7N and 20 volume, 6N and 20 volume, 6N and 6G and 20 volume, 7N and 30 volume. If you're coloring hair that way, you are missing out on so many amazing opportunities of what color can do for you when you really understand formulation. So on one of the former episodes, I think it was 2 episodes ago, I talked about all of the heat that I'm getting for my ad about 7N syndrome and how people use swatches and think that, if a client asks for 7N, you simply go into your dispensary and you pull out a 7N and you put it on the hair. It's going to turn into that color. And a lot of people came at me and were like, that's ridiculous. You're not even a hair colorist. You don't know what you're talking about. But 700 people bought the class that I was advertising. So 700 people said, you know what? I don't know. I thought I knew. I thought that was the answer, what she just said. But if it's not, I need to hear what she says in that class. So I really cringe when I hear the term fake it till you make it. And I just saw in a forum, someone said, I'm really confused about hair color. I'm very frustrated. I really don't understand it. What can I do to get better? And when I tell you, I don't have it right here. I should have had that ready. But when I tell you the answers that this girl got, every person, with the exception of one person, and that one person was one of my students named Linda, said to her, trial and error, honey, trial and error. Just keep doing it. You'll get it. That was the answer. Trial and error, trial and error. And I was like, oh my gosh, what happened to find a mentor who's passionate about color, who really understands it? Go to a class, buy an online class, call the company that makes the color and ask them if there's a class you can attend on Zoom or if there's one in person. Find out the answer. My goodness, do not do trial and error. Think about the opportunity when a client sits in your chair. You have one shot. They are judging you within the first 3 seconds by what you look like. Then the second 3 seconds is what comes out of your mouth. The time after that is how did you perform the service and how did it turn out for that person? Did you give them what they were looking for? Are they happy with the result? That's when they decide if they're coming back. If you're doing trial and error and you're guessing and stressing, mixing up that color, what does that say to that client that you've just done that hair on? I see people say, well, my client said it was okay this time, but next time she wants better coverage. My client said it was okay and it wasn't really what she wanted, but she's okay with it and she'll let it go until she sees me again. And I'm like, wow, where are you getting these clients? I don't know any clients that is their bar that they're going by, that, they're not raising the bar. They don't actually want the color they came with. They want the one that you got them to because they like you. That's really not a good way to build a business. So I want you to feel much more confident. I have a class that's available all the time. It's called Hair Color Formulation Simplified. It's the one I just talked about that we've had over 750 people go through it already, and they're getting amazing results. You can get that class by going to www.expertcolorsolutions.com/simple, SIMPLE. Take the class. It's $47. It'll be the best $47 you ever spent. And I also have bonus material in there of live Q&A sessions that we did with people who have taken the class, because the same questions come up over and over again. So it's a very robust class for only $47. I hope that you'll check it out. If you have any questions about formulation, about what I'm talking to you about demi today, showing you how I use demi to either cover gray, blend gray, do root shadows, root mouth, all of the things, demi is my jam. I love it. And it doesn't have to be Redken Shades EQ. I use that as an example because that's what I actually use. But any liquid demi is what I'm talking about when I talk about liquid. Any cream is what I refer to when I'm talking about cream, because they behave completely differently. And when you're taking someone from permanent color and you're changing them over to demi, there is a skill to that. You can't just do apples to apples. If you've been doing a 4N permanent on a client and you shift them to a 4N demi, and then you call me and say, this demi sucks, this didn't work. Well, that's why. You thought it was apples to apples. It's not. It has to be done completely in a different manner. So I hope that this podcast inspired you to try something new. I hope you'll check out my class at expertcolorsolutions.com/simple. And I hope to meet you at some point as a Hair Color Secrets Insider, where you can come to my in-person retreats here in sunny Florida. I do 2 of them a year, and the next one is in November. So if you're feeling stagnant and you want to meet me in person and you want to get together and talk about all things color, I hope that you will take that journey into the Insiders, where we get to meet each other. And then I get to see you here in sunny Florida in November of 2024. Thanks for listening, and I will see you on the next one.